Hello and thank you for joining us on Newsweek, where we highlight some of the biggest stories that made the headlines recently. I am Jacinta Agochukwu. This week, Senate suspends Abdul Ningi for 3 months over unsubstantiated claim that 2024 budget was padded to the tune of 3.7 trillion naira. Also this week, Gumi tells President Tinubu to negotiate with bandits, offers to mediate. And later on the show, Northern governors meet with NSA, agree on kinetic and non-kinetic options to tackle kidnapping. All the details in a moment. Stay with us. Well, feathers were ruffled this week in the Nigerian Senate. The lawmaker representing Bauchi Central, Abdul Ningi, was suspended for 3 months after about 3 hours of debate over his interview in which he alleged that the National Assembly padded the 2024 28.7 trillion naira budget. The Senate also warned Senator Suleiman Kapo, NMPP Kano South, against sharing and distributing disturbing news about the Senate. He noted that he discovered 3 trillion naira was inserted into the budget for projects without locations. He added that this is the highest budget padding that happened in Nigerian history under Senator Obio's watch. I have joining me now to discuss this Aken Fatunke, CEO, chronicler and associate mediator, communication consultant. He is in the studio with me. Good evening and welcome to the show, Mr. Aken.
Good evening, Jacinta. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much. Good evening, Nigerians.
All right, let's get your perspective on the Senate's decision to suspend Senator Ningi over 3 months and as well over the unconfirmed report.
Yeah, unconfirmed.
Claim, yes.
Unconfirmed according to the Senate's perspective. It becomes really confirmed by the spate of unpalatable, salacious tales that are coming from that same Senate. You know, when you turn yourself into a coven of some sort, what you allow it, the rumor mills to go into being. So in the first place, I have it as a wiper. The first wiper that goes to the left tells me that within the Senate rules itself, Senator Ningi been there for 17 years, and so if there is any padding allegedly, and we have reasons to believe that insertion of projects by this Senate especially, and the previous Senates before it, has been a commonplace. At what point in time did he realize this? When the appropriation went for the first reading, second reading, okay, all right. So suddenly something is just not tying, and then you just have to spill the beans. And in spilling that beans, you actually went out and got a private investigator. It's like wanting to investigate yourself in a manner of saying Ali Baba and the 40 thieves. So one of the 40 thieves now decides that both Ali Baba himself and elsewhere, things are not moving on fine. Is it really to say that it's unsubstantiated? We know what the president submitted, and we know the addition, some 2.1, some people say 3.1 trillion naira that the Senate decided that they were going to put in there in 2023 in the run to the appropriation acts itself. There were debates and they were vehement that they needed to do what you call constituency projects, which in itself, one, the former president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, retired General Obasanjo, called a way of slicing Nigerians and called them unprintable names. It's also on records that a ranking senator in the 8th Assembly had a way, allegedly, of going around MDAs and departments of state to go tell their DGs, please, when you come to the Senate, ask for this, ask for that. And then this particular senator now then goes round after the approval and appropriation to submit the names of his companies to execute these projects. So who is fooling whom at the end of the day? My overall, therefore, is to say that the budget process, yes, improved substantially to get us line items, but it comes to a point after that has been submitted by the executives, then the Senate now then comes and then slam in their own. Doesn't look too neat in my perspective. And even if there is a need that what we are doing is a cut and paste the American system, that, okay, yeah, you've got to be able to show some things for yourself. I have seen latrines. I have seen boreholes. I have seen situations where, and this cuts across, whether it's Labour Party, whether it's NNPP, whether it's ABGA, whether it's PDP, cuts across. One of the senators, Ted Ningi, was talking about billions that he has been able to attract. You know, so I am saying that all put together, did it go through that normal process? If it didn't go through that normal process, well, a whistle has been blown, and we have situations in our hands that we need to really go back and stop this sleaze of the Nigerian
state. Do you agree with those saying there should be further investigation, or private investigation or something?
I agree absolutely. I mean, I said that Abdul Ningi needed to have gone through a particular process.
Instead of the suspension?
Instead of the suspension, whether it's suspension, whether it should go through the normal process, it should be proven beyond reasonable doubt, and not soon as that came out, you heard what Jarigbe said. And in your opener, you also said that some people are still talking about, when you begin to act as if you are in a coven, you know, what one of my very good friends, First Senator and Tunde Keladi, call Egbe Akpakni, that's a Yoruba word that says we belong to a coven where we just squatter and share things and others should not be able to say it. A day will come, a morrow will come, that one of them, either because of political consideration, either because he or she is just not satisfied about the sharing formula, will blow a whistle. And what does that do? Brings down the House of the Senate. The President of the Senate made a statement, and I think I agree with him absolutely. The Senate, the 10th Senate, cannot be the same again in terms of how it has been dragged seriously down. And leadership tells me that it's not a matter of now pointing fingers. If you didn't go through that normal process, and I think you didn't allow Ningi to try and prove beyond reasonable doubt. Okay. I think it might have been a bit hasty to be able to prove to everybody that, like Caesar's wife, you are above board. But when you have skeletons in your cupboard, when you have more than skeletons in your cupboard, what happens is that you might want to be in a hurry. So all put together, the pot calling the kettle black. Both of them are black at the end of the day. And
let's talk about
who will be the one that will suffer for it, the Nigerian state. Okay,
let's talk about what impact this suspension will have on the role of Nengi's role in the National Assembly and as well his political career.
Okay, there are two ways to look at it from the sociological aspect. If you call a man a thief and you have not been able to prove that he's a thief, you turn him into a cult hero if you are not careful. And if you also call a man a thief and you are not able to prove that he has stolen anything from you per se, and that the balance of probability is that it might be, it might not be, the perception of the public is already risen against you. Thirdly, the governor of his home state has clearly come out to say that as far as he was concerned, Ningi was right, and that they were going to do everything possible to just make sure that he's given a safe landing back in. My final would be to say that an implication would be for the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, under whose watch this is happening. Yes, I know about separation of powers, to wield in very, very strongly with his persuasive powers to make sure that this Senate, as dirty as it is appearing, can be made to reinvent itself, first by this president himself reinventing the presidency, and then we all just stay backwards and say, look, this jambalaya of the confusion that we have is not good for us. It's going to have implications into attracting foreign investment, and the people are hungry, the people are angry, terrorists are asking for monies because they feel that in that COVID of witches and wizards, people are there sharing money, not looking very good for Nigeria at this time.
All right, thank you very much. I wanted to even ask the lessons that we can take from this incident to improve future budget processes, but we are due for break right now, and Newsweek continues in a moment. Stay with us.